Hey everybody, it's Emily. I'm back. My name is Emily Gear. I'm a transformative energy healer and multidimensional channel, and I have taken several months off. I wish I could say that I felt good and rested. I have to say that I'm still quite tired, but I'm beginning to sort of understand that this may be the way that it is for a while, and we still have to bloom where we're planted. So I am back with another collective reading. We're going to look at the energies of this week that is coming up, mostly because I've just been feeling the pull back to doing some collective work, and I'm just curious to see what comes out in the channeling. I have opened the akashic records. I do want to draw your attention to my website. Again, I have opened up appointments. Again, I had closed them all out for quite some time. And I do want to say that if you are interested in booking a one-on-one session with me, that they will be closing up again sometime in late March, because I'm taking several different healing classes, one which is only a weekend, but another one which is the majority of the month of April and May. That came out wrong. The end of April and beginning of May, so 3 weeks. And I will not be able to take any clients during that time because the classes are all day. I'll have to be doing my work at night. So do get your sessions in now if you are thinking of doing anything this spring. Okay. You can book those online on my website, IamEmilyGear.com. Another option on my site is to schedule a recorded reading, which is a little less expensive. It's done not one-on-one, not live over Zoom, but I will record it and then email it to you. And so those are a little less expensive because it's kind of done in between my schedule whenever I can fit it in, and then you receive it in your email. Okay. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and get to the cards here. I, in particular, have had a rough few months. The collective energy that I'm hitting, that I'm like really tuned into right now, is definitely a group that's very tired. I feel like we are, I don't want to say that we are in a state of depression or anything like that necessarily, but I do feel like there's a little bit of apprehension about the sort of new doorway we're stepping through, because I do get the feeling that there is a big kind of shift afoot right now. But I do feel a willingness to, and actually more of a let's say like a promise to ourselves to move on from the past at this time. So whatever it is that you have been going through, which is kind of in the past at this point, I do feel that you are ready to move on from that. There are some who are possibly holding on to emotional attachments, emotional ties to these things of the past, a sense of grief, perhaps. If we're talking about, individuals in our lives who maybe have passed away, or situations which are no longer what they used to be, a sense of disappointment in some sense, in whatever part of the collective I'm kind of connecting into right now. And yet, even in this grief and this disappointment, there is this sense of new beginning. It strikes me as very apropos for the coming of the springtime. If we think about, the resurrection story as a story of humanity, and how the death and the rebirth is the same as the cycles, of course, of nature, and also the cycles of our lives that we go through, and our belief systems, our physical bodies, our emotional lives, every relationship we've ever been in. That same cycle applies itself. And I do feel that we are sort of at the end of that death and stepping into that rebirth. Okay, so we'll see what the cards have to say, but that's That's what I'm feeling right now. And I am feeling a new, sort of a new dawn, okay? A new resurrection that's coming in. And I'm hearing that it heals the broken hearts. And so in whatever way, you know, for me, the broken heart came in a very collective way, a very large scale way. It had to do with, you know, really just the injustices of society, the pain suffered by the innocents, and my my beliefs surrounding that, I guess, you know, not to get too much into it, but it came to other people in other ways. If you were sort of going through that same kind of cycle over the last few months. So just know that there is this new dawn, this refreshing of beliefs, this refreshing of your energy level, refreshing of the cycle itself, a resurrection period. Okay. All right. A couple cards just sort of slid out. So let's take a look at what those are. The first one is the Nine of Cups. And so here we have, I'm hearing the words, the things hoped for, the things hoped for, the things prayed for. And so I believe that's then coming in. And I kind of feel like there is this distrust that maybe these things were not coming, or maybe it was foolish to think that these things would be coming in, that maybe life was a lot. And this does really hook into what I was feeling, but you know, maybe the sense that life doesn't dish up the positive or the good in the way that we once believed it did, and the truth is that it does. But there again are the cycles of life where sometimes we have to descend into the underworld. We have to have the death and descend into the underworld to learn the lessons, to have the rebirth, to have the transmutation of our own energies before resurrecting to the new life, this new, the things hoped for, before these can come in to your life, because the path cleared with the transmuted energies is what they're showing me. They are definitely showing me the image of the vulture and the way that the vulture transmutes the energy of death. And so that, as unpleasant of a symbol or as an image as that might be, it actually might be very, I feel like it's a very grounding image for a lot of you because of its connection to nature. So think about the vulture and connecting with the vulture. But it also can be very unpleasant because that means that, you know, it has eaten something that has died, and it has transmuted that through, you know, the transmutation process within its physical body. And that is how it plays the part of the vulture in the role of the life cycle. And so that's where we are right now, is what I'm getting as a collective, or at least in the part of the collective that I'm connecting to today. Okay. The next card that came up here is Temperance, which makes a lot of sense. And this really is a healing and reordering process within us, because I do think that there have been a lot of beliefs or a lot of ideas, a lot of emotional attachments that have been shaken up. It can be things in your physical life. It depends on where, you know, what you've individually been dealing with. And I want to say, like, where all of this kind of these astrological influences have fallen in your chart. Not that they are making these things happen, but the influences it's sort of as above, so below. So they work together in tandem to create the experiences that you're having in your life. And so much has been shaken free because of the intended transformation that we are going through at this time. And the point of all of it is this Nine of Cups, this appearance of things hoped for, right? But it may have felt like I'm hearing an unrelenting fast process. And all that showing up in these three cards here. The Eight of Cups with is this the King or the Knight? I think it's the Knight. Yeah, the Knight of Wands. And the Five of Swords. So I do feel some, even before these cards came out, it was like this sense of, all right, these are some of the things that we have not wanted to see, not wanted to recognize, not wanted to let go of. You know, for me, it came again in the form of beliefs, in the form of like not wanting to believe the extent of the pain and suffering that innocence can go through in this world, okay? To others, it may be not wanting to let go of a relationship that they felt, that you might have felt was so important in your life and that you have built your life on. For others, it may be, you know, losing someone so important in your life, either to transformation or transition, or other, you know, or them moving away because of a change in their, you know, their lives, or you moving away from them because of a change in your life. But in either case, there's a dislodging of things that is actually creating this new beginning, that's creating this kind of healing environment. It's like when a dirty piece of laundry, like say you've got grass stains and dirt stains in a shirt and you've thrown it into laundry and it gets agitated with the water and the soap, and the bits move out of the fabric bit by bit. And it's that agitation, that moving of the water that creates, that frees the fabric from the soiling, okay? And so that's kind of the energy I'm getting here. It's like the agitating of the water, which may mean that the connection here is an emotional one, which has created the cleanliness, the cleaning, the freeing from the soiling, okay, in your life, whatever that, however that relates to you, okay. And that agitation I'm seeing is really, if you have been blaming yourself for any of this, I'm feeling that much of, if not most of, if not all of this is coming in because it is part of the choice that you may have made before coming into this lifetime about experiences that you will have. Which is why I feel like it might be tied into any of the astrological influences, because I don't feel like we are prey to those. That some of those are part of our karma that we have selected, and some of those are part of a larger group karma that we have all selected, but we still have choices within that, right? So I do feel that we are part of this, and at the end of the day, we have chosen or selected for these experiences for our own soul growth. That in itself was that is a belief that I hold. It was a very hard pill to swallow in the last few months, specifically, you know, watching all of those animals die in Australia by wildfires, which may be accidents, may not be accidents. And the fact that, you know, an incredible amount of suffering has resulted in that situation, and all across the world in all kinds of different ways, and individually and personally on every level, watching, you know, children be sick and pets be sick and all of that, you know, whatever, awful things that are far beyond any of my own personal experience. That is what I have been struggling with, and yet it was an experience that I need to have to deepen my my own understanding and rootedness in my beliefs, and it needed to sort of uproot any beliefs that did not have a firm foundation. Okay, so I talk about myself in this sense so that you can kind of compare it to your own experience and see where that might mirror your own, because we all mirror each other, of course. And some of that is kind of an ego battle where, you know, you might have had to face issues like, I don't want to believe this, I don't accept this, I don't like this, and yet it is how it is. It is not the way that you want it to be, or the way that you might have wanted to create it to be. If it were the ending of a relationship, or the sort of the realization of the reality of a relationship, this could be you realizing, oh, my illusions of what this has been are completely false. It's not, now my eyes are open to the reality. If this has to do with, other people in your life, family members or something who may have been wearing a mask and playing a role, and now you realize who they really are. A lot of masks stripped away, a lot of truth, a lot of, as we spoke about many, many times before back in December, a lot of faulty foundations washed away so that true foundations can be built up even stronger. And that's in every area of our lives, okay? And so that is the energy I'm feeling right now, but that's like the sort of a past energy. The main energy right now is this 9 of Cups, this things wished for. So I get the Chariot. And that feels very much like the crossing of the threshold of whatever this like sort of gateway is that I'm feeling. It's a threshold, and I don't say gateway as in everybody's like, oh, the whatever number portal or what. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some kind of shift in our perception, which may or may not correspond with something like that. It is upon us very soon, Queen of Wands. And it has to do with our accepting of our own power in the situation and making a choice whether we are going to get on, I want to say get on the spaceship here, like get on the bus or get in the car, get on the train and move from the old to the new. That we are empowered to do that, and yet we are the only ones who can also disempower ourselves from doing that. So it's a choice that you make now. You've already gone through this kind of agitation process. The healing has already begun. The changes have already begun. But will you choose to be in your authenticity? In your authenticity to sort of see where, the jig's already up in some way, okay? Whether, again, it's a relationship, another situation, a job, or to me, it often comes back to belief systems, because all of these other things precipitate from our belief systems, from the energy that we're carrying around as kind of an amalgam of our thoughts and our emotions, and what we're pulling in to our lives. This is calling in some level for balance here, and kind of a releasing of the fear that keeps us held back, which frankly, how many times have I said that? Like, I hate when I repeat certain phrases that I know I've said a million times before. That is very clearly coming through here. That there has to be kind of a disconnecting from that sense of fear and from that ego fight, from that fight to hold on to the old. Because the old is not the thing wished for. It's the things wished for that we are sort of aiming for here, that we're moving toward, and that we have to make sort of the really empowered choice for. I want to say that there's something here also. I'm hearing about allowing yourself they're saying literally allowing yourself to be let down. And what I actually think they mean by that is accepting that an outcome might be different from what you had previously assumed or previously believed was correct or right, because the belief that we were operating on then has since been agitated, uprooted, changed. Okay? It could even be the emotion that we were operating on then, or whatever. You could have been operating in a space of fear of loss or something like that when in regards to a relationship, and now that has been uprooted and agitated, and you are no longer operating in that place of like fear of loss. And so you can make more empowered choices now. We fall into the habit of doing things the way that we did, but we are no longer the same people that we were 2 months ago. Okay. There has been so much, they keep bringing up the word agitation again, so much agitation within us, that there is now a new opportunity to get on the bus, get on the spaceship, get on the train and move through that portal in an empowered way. And it is our choice. Maybe that portal is the new moon. It just came out, the new moon, which comes up in roughly another week, I think. If today is the 17th. Yeah, I think it's like, honestly, I do think it's like the 23rd. So that's literally about a week away. And this reading is for this week. So get ready for this portal to be around the new moon, which is coming up. Queen of Swords with the Queen of Cups. Are you choosing between two extremes? Are you choosing between your logical self and your emotional self, your intuitive self and your mental self? Because my feeling is that it's really not one or the other. It's the combined, integrated, balanced part of yourself, which is both. You don't have to be one or the other. Like, what are they getting at here? But again, I was just saying something about balance. I have no idea what I just said a few minutes ago, but there is a sense of needing to move forward with a sense of not feeling like you have to reject a part of yourself, like you have to reject the mental part, or you have to reject the emotional or the intuitive part, that there is room for both to operate in a complementary way, not necessarily an oppositional way. People always talk about head versus heart, or making a head over heart decision. And what I'm intuiting now through this is that it doesn't have to go one way or the other. It can be both. And that is then the empowered choice that we're making here. That is really what it is to live as a human being in sort of a 5D, 60, 70, higher dimensional timeline, or, space in general, not literally meaning physical space, but more like energetic space, because it makes a more fully developed picture of what it is to be human, of what our skills or talents are as humanity and as creation, they're saying. So, i.e., this not being specific to humanity, this actually being accessible to other species as well, known and unknown, they say. I'm also hearing that self-honoring is really important right now, and that does not mean that doesn't mean in an egotistical way. I don't need to tell you guys that, but it doesn't mean in an egotistical way, but it does mean in the sense that some of us tend to reject our own thoughts or feelings or emotions or intuitions or whatever as not good enough, as maybe not as educated or not as informed, whatever it is for you. Like, it's going to be different for everybody. On some level, I think that I do often think that other people are somehow better than me. Like, oh, they probably know more. So, and which is weird because I've, obviously a very intelligent person. I've always been extremely intelligent and obviously have a great, connection with source and a good, nice open channel and whatever. But I've always often pushed myself aside in favor of other people, assuming that they must know better. And that is where we need to be honoring ourselves more, or in another way that might resonate more with you. But honoring the self right now is very important. That doesn't mean forget about everyone else, but I'm just really focused on this Queen of Swords, and I'm getting the feeling of your own internal wisdom is much stronger than you think. in that you are, they're reminding me of a speech I gave just days ago in an animal welfare situation. And I was talking about another individual in the animal welfare community being a pillar of the animal welfare community. And they're saying right now, you are a pillar, meaning all of you out there, whatever it is that you are like thinking that you're not good enough in, or whatever it is that you're like knocking yourself down in, you are a pillar. You can be trusted. You are stable. Eight of Wands. These are the wings that you fly on. Your empowerment, your self-empowerment, understanding that you are the pillar. That reaches back to all the imagery of the pillars that we were talking about in Capricorn season. The faulty foundations being washed away, the strong pillar standing. You are the pillar. Honor yourself, honor your own intuition, honor your guidance, your knowledge, your own abilities to stand on your own 2 feet. Because while we are interdependent, we are interconnected, and this is positive. They're saying that we can also be independent at times while still being interdependent with others and within our society, and that this is important, that we have not honored the self in the right way. There are times in society when we think we are honoring the self, when we are actually acting out of ego. And when we are actually balancing this sort of mental self with this emotional self, then we can truly begin to honor the true self. Okay, not this ego thing. And, you know, this Chariot, this Queen of Wands, this Eight of Wands, to me points to moving into this new dimension, this new dimensional space after this incredible agitation we have gone through. And again, this new moon to me points to this being that threshold that we're looking at. So guys, it's been 24 minutes. It's about how long I like to go with these. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I hope that this has been helpful for you. And I am glad to be back. I can't say as to my consistency, but I will do my best. Do remember, I will bring up my website again. Do remember that my sessions that are one-on-one will be very limited this spring, so do schedule them if you are thinking of doing one. And my calendar is open and it's on my website. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for all of your likes, your comments, your subscribes, your shares, for sticking around and waiting a couple months for me to come back. I appreciate that as well. So I will talk to you guys soon, and have a great week. Bye.